Okay, good morning. We are doing today, Chav Dalet and Aleph. We are at the bottom of Chav Gimel and Beis, the last few lines up. Yesterday we discussed the difference between the Hasidim in Bavel versus the Takifi in Eretz Yisrael. That in Bavel, they would gather together to daven for rain. You wouldn't know from which tzaddik it was coming, but they did it together. Whereas in Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yomi, he went to go hide, to go down for the rain, but he was not just merely hiding it, and nobody should know that it was coming from him, but it was also, in a sense, hiding it from his own family. That his own family wouldn't appreciate that the rain was coming mitzad Mitzrayim, so he had a whole elaborate scheme where he went with the sack and took some money to go buy food, and then he hid himself in his own sack, and mamish, they wouldn't suspect that the rain was coming because of him. One thing that I don't remember if I said yesterday anymore, so I apologize if I'm repeating it, is that in the story that we had about Bechilkiah, when he also tries to hide from the rabbis that the rain is coming because of him, so he goes up onto the roof before the rabbis talk to him to even say anything that's going on about the fact that they came for the rain. So he had said to his wife, let's go upstairs to daven. I know that they're here for the rain. Let's do it together. Meaning that he understood the schus of his wife, that because her, there would be rain, not just b'schusai, but b'schusa. And that is definitely an understanding that a person should have in terms of the spiritual level of his wife, that he expected that she would be vital to be getting the rain. It wasn't just on his shoulders. And of course, she's answered first because of Mekayvelat Nice, which we reminded us also by Rivka, that Yitzchak over there was answered first. Why was Yitzchak answered first over there? By Ye'aser Loi, right? Vatah Rivka Ishtar. Why specifically him? If they're both davening, Hashem. Over there, Rashi says the measures that Tzaddik ben Tzaddik. And she was a Tzaddik ben Tzaddik is ben a Rasha. So that was the difference. But over here, that wasn't an issue, and therefore, since Mekayba Hanaisa, all the things being equal, that's why she went first. Okay, new Gemara for today connects a little bit to yesterday's Gemara because we're talking here about the son of Rabbi Yomi. His name was Ramani, and also this Gemara has to remind us of a Gemara that we just had before on Tezayin. Says the Gemara, Visu. This is about 8 lines up from the bottom. Visu, Rabbi Mani, Bered, Rabbi Mani, the son of Rabbi Yomi. Avik Komentar laid the Benasiyah. The house of the Nasi was bothering him. We don't know why they were bothering, but they were. We'll see today other examples that the house of the Nasi was bothering somebody. So, meaning important people in the town are bothering Ramani, who was the son of this Rabbi Yomi, who was the Takifi of Eretz Yisrael, who was able to get rain and hide it from his family. Nevertheless, even though he hid it from his family, he didn't hide it from Ramani so much that Ramani understood his father's a big tzaddik. So what did he do? Ishtateach al kibbur davur. He went to go prostrate himself on the grave of his father and daven that what he should be saved from the house of the Nasi who's bothering him. What does that remind us of? The Gemara inside the Lamed Hey, right? Where the Gemara over there says that about the spies. So the pasuk says, "Vayalu ba'negev vayavoy ad Chevron," and it should have said, says the Gemara there, "Vayalu ba'negev vayavoy ad Chevron." What does it mean? Singular. You said Vayalu ba'negev. It should have said Vayavoy ad Chevron. So no, all the spies didn't go to Chevron. There was one spy who did. Kalev, Yeshua already had a blessing from Moshe Rabbeinu. Vayikra Moshe le'Yeshua Rabbeinu Yeshua. Why did Kalev go? Shateach al kivrei Avis. He went to go daven that the Avis should help save him from the atzas of the Meraglim. That's why there's a specificity on Vayavoy ad Chevron. It was Kalev. And what do we have before in the Gemara on Tezayin? We had in the Gemara on Tezayin that we said on a fast day. So the Gemara said that on a fast day, what do? We go out to the Beis HaKvaros. Says the Gemara, Lama Yotzin leBeis HaKvaros. One says, which Ram bring down La'alacha. We go to a cemetery because we want to show Hashem that we're like Mason. Because the dead should be able to daven for us. The dead should be able to daven for us. This is something that the Rambam rejects and does not accept. What do we see from this Gemara? This Gemara is a raya that somebody went to the Beis HaKvaris to daven to his father that he should help him out. And that certainly is a simple understanding. We're not saying that the dead are God, the dead make decisions, but that the dead can intercede on behalf of the living and thereby go to the Rebbeinu Shalom and ask the Rebbeinu Shalom for help. So that's what it seems what happened over here. It says the Gemara. So he was nishateach al kiver da'avur. He went and go prostrate himself in the cave of his father. Omar le, Abba, hani mitzaruli. These people are bugging me. This house of the nasi, they're really making my life miserable. Yom echad hafik chalfa hasam. So one day, the house of the Beit Nasiya, they were riding in the cemetery. In kidkara desusayu ad the kibli alad loim komentaruli. The horses got stuck in the caver of Rabbi Yaina, Ramani's father. They got stuck, the hooves. They couldn't go until they were makabah themselves. They're not going to. And they obviously they realized that they were by the caver of Rabbi Yaina, and so they were makabah themselves not to do this anymore. This presumably is a right against the Rambam there in Hilchos Avil. The Rambam says that you are not mitzayim me'orto. We're not going to make Kavarim, we're not going to make tombstones for the dead. That's not the ideal. Why? Because the kivrei tzaddikim, they don't need it. Ein isen nefesh tzaddikim. You don't have to make a matzeva for the tzaddikim. Why not? Because the re'em, their words, their Torah, ein zechronam. They don't need to have a zecher of a piece of stone. So this will be a rai against the Rambam because obviously, how do they know that it was Rabbi Yona's caver? Presumably, only the family members would have known if it was an unmarked grave. Right, and the whole world would remember? No. Must be that it was what? They had some sort of a tomb that they was able to know that this is Rabbi Yona's Keva. That's why they knew that Makabal himself, why is our horse getting stuck? It's getting stuck because of the fact that we are starting off with Rabbi Yona. We have to be a little nicer to the guy. I'm sorry, we are starting with Ramani, Rabbi Yona's son. We have to be nicer to the guy. Right, where it wasn't that Ramani was there telling them he's on the grave and they see him. No. They were obviously able to tell. Yeah. Another Maisa. This stories I don't have any answers for. They are unbelievable stories. Yeah, Besu. Rabbi Mani have it. Rabbi Mani was in the normative. He would hang out by Rabbi Yisrael Amalei. Atiri de Bechami Komitzarli. He said, we tell him his marital problems. He said, my family members, from my wife's side, they're bugging me. They're rich guys in that family. They mamish are snobs. They make my life miserable. So Amar Liana, he said, all right, let them be poor. So Viyano, they became poor. So Amar Kadachakuli, he says, yeah, now that they're poor, they're still bugging me. Yeah, why? Because now they need Parnasa. So they're bugging me now, so I should help them. Amar Liatra, so let them become rich again. Viyatra, and they became rich. You notice that the rabbi here that we're talking about is Rabbi Yisrael ben Eliashiv. What does Eliashiv mean? Not Rabbi Eliashiv. El Yashiv, God who answers. Right. Remember how I mentioned before? First time I mentioned this is in Brachas by the Gemara there that talks about the Maisa. The Maisa over there was about the Mizmar and Tehillim that we say that David Melech is giving shir to the Rebbeinu Shalom. He's running away from Avshalom Benoy. Avshalom, Mizmar, Kina David. The Gemara says why he should be upset. Avshalom is terrible. So he says the Gemara gives its reason. But who's the one who's talking over there? I think his name was Avishalom. Whereas Taisa says it couldn't be. The Gemara seems to say it's Avshalom. The Taisa says it can't be Yom Ches. It's not appropriate to give a name for Russia. We say Tzaddik Shem Risham Yirkav. The name of the Risham is supposed to be destroyed. How can you give the name of Avshalom? Don't ask me how in Israel they have people named Nimrod or whatever. This is part of the Nimrod is given the name Nimrod. Yeah, but Avshalom, Taisa changed it to Avishalom. It's the same idea. Sometimes you find the name of a certain memory and you're supposed to remember it. Whenever you think of Rabbi ben Eliashiv, remember Hashem listens to him. And he responds, rich, okay, let him be rich. Then he got rich. Poor. But that's not the only story about him. Says the Gemara, Amar Loim Mikibli Alai in Shibesi. I'm not happy with my wife. Why? She's not pretty. Amalei Mashma, Chana. Name was Chana. Titziapi Chana, let Chana be beautiful. And it's the opposite. She got beautiful. Doesn't say he davened that he should become happy with his homely wife. No. He davened that she should be comely. Yeah. So Amarlai, Kamenandra, Kamegandra alike. Megandra actually says it's a sort of Rasha Tavis of Makam Lisgad, the Marful in Zion. So he says now she is lording it over me. She is very elite and snob because she's so beautiful. And I can't take it. So Amarlai, Ihachi, Taxakana, Shkirutai. Then let her go back to ugliness. And she became ugly again. As I said, very difficult to understand this Gemara, but this is how we have it. Can't really spend any more time on it, but it is a very fundamental question as to these first two stories, especially when you consider the next story. Look at the third story here. So these were stories about Rav Mani, who was the son of Rav Yaina, who was hanging out by the rabbi who Hashem listens, who was the son of who Hashem listens to. But clearly Hashem listens to him too. Yeah. Says the Gemara, there were two students of Rabbi Yisrael ben Elyashiv who hung out there. And they said to the Rebbe, He said, let us become really smart. We want to become really smart. He said, I once had such an ability to make people smart, but I gave it away. I sent it away. Rashi says, now my tefillas on this topic are not really going to be mekubal so much. The Bach says that can't be really the girsa, but rather you have to say, right? Or the Bach is explaining what we're actually saying, that he really doesn't want to make a tircha for the Rebbeinu Shem to ask all this tefillas that this person should be really bright. So I'm flummoxed by this Gemara for a whole slew of reasons that I mentioned. I can't get into all of them now, but one obvious one is, okay, the guy tells his wife's too homely, his wife's too homely. That one you're not a problem with. My wife's family's too rich, they're too poor. That you don't have a problem with. But somebody says he wants to be a better learner, that you have a problem with. That bedafko, and now you're not going to help. Yeah. So my rabbi growing up, Rav Shalom Son of Malach, he wanted to make a suggestion. And his suggestion was, it's not the nachkim that they're asking for wisdom. The nachkim tuva. They were asking to be super duper smart. And what do we say? And the Gemara tells us that when somebody has a lot of fear of heaven, then the Torah goes along with them. They have a little fear of heaven, a lot of Torah is going to be a disaster. So they're asking for a tremendous amount of wisdom, of learning, but not that the Maisim should be amazing. They're not talking about the Maisim Taivim at all. If you really want to be blessed, maybe Rabbi Yisrael ben Elyashiv would have been more amenable had he said, look, we would like to be blessed, that we should become more righteous people, we should become bigger Talmid Chachamim, and maybe then he would have given them the bracha. But just to say, we want to be really massive Talmid Chachamim, we want to be real geniuses, but not to say that they want to be bigger tzaddikim, that was not amenable to him. B'chal, there's a general question, both on, not really in this Gemara so much, but we had it earlier on the page, right, where the Gemara said, remember the two examples of why the Ananim first came to the wife of Abichalkia rather than him. The second reason of the Gemara was that there was the B'yainim. The B'yainim who they davened for. So she davened for them that they should be repenting, whereas he davened that they should die. Again, remember that Gemara Brachas Yud about Rameir and Broya, the same thing. If I daven for somebody that they should become a tzaddik, does that feel a help? Your tzidkis is dependent on your bechira. Your tzidkis is not dependent on my tefillah. I can daven somebody should be healed, but how can I daven that you should change your life? Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's up to you to change your life. So clearly, the Gemara seems to suggest that you can daven for it. It may not help, but there's nothing wrong with davening. Somebody should take a parent can't daven for the child's having issues. Can't daven the child should become a bigger tzaddik. Why not? Doesn't mean to do anything. I don't know. But there's nothing wrong with necessarily davening for it, even if philosophically, a person has to make their own choices. Just because you daven for it, Hashem's not going to answer your tefillos and then make the person be a tzaddik. That would, by definition, defeat the purpose of why they're alive, which is to make their choices to figure it out themselves. In any event, perhaps it's a suggestion that the word here about why this tefillah he mamish refuses to daven for is denachkim tuva. The key word here is that they wanted to be super duper smart, not just to be a Talmid Chacham, not just to be good in all areas of life, but to be a super duper wise person, perhaps. Yeah. Now we have some more stories. Again, these stories are unbelievable. I don't have answers to the stories. I'll explain to you what the questions are, at least that I have. Yeah, Zot Gemara, Rabbi Yossi bar Oven have shchiach kamei de Rabbi Yossi de min Yukras. So Rabbi Yossi bar Oven used to hang out by the yeshiva of Rabbi Yossi de min Yukras. Right, that's not confusing enough, right? But the two Rabbi Yossis, so one was mashma like a bit of a student, learned by the yeshiva of the other Rabbi Yossi. Yeah, so Shavke Rabbi Yossi bar Oven left the yeshiva of Rabbi Yossi de min Yukras, but also the kamei de Rav Ashi, and he came to the study of Rav Ashi. Remember, well, I don't remember, but for those who are here on Sunday, when we've been doing the topic of Teresh Bal Pes, we've been spending some time going through Shiri Gaon's letter and all the various Gemaras, etc., around this. So one of the things we mentioned in Rav Shiri Gaon's letters, Rav Shiri Gaon says Rav Ashi went over Shas 2 times in his life with the whole yeshiva. Meaning, I don't know how many times he went personally, but he taught Shas 2 times. Right, it took 60 years, 30 years each rendition of Shas, and he had reams of scholars. Everybody was there when they were going through Shas together. That became, or at least part of the Shas that we have today, or a significant part of the Shas that we have over there on Pei Vav. So, for our purposes now, Rabbi Yossi Bar Oven comes away from Rabbi Yossi the Miryokas and goes to the Shir of Rav Ashi. Now we are turning the page to Chavdal Amud Aleph. That Yom Echad Shamedik Hagars. So one day, Rashi says he's not sure 100% which way to read this, but basically, for our purposes now, we'll assume that it is Rav Ashi who was giving a shir, and he said, Omar Shmuel Ashel Dagman Ayam B'Shabbos Kevan Sheyovish B'Kesel. Somebody takes out a fish out of the sea on the Shabbos, and the fish starts to dry out. He's chayev. Right? We're not talking here about being chayev for tzeidah. That's not the issue. We're not focusing here on the hunting aspect, Shabbat. We're focusing here on the aspect that the person is killing on Shabbos. I should point out that the way the Rambam brings it down, if you look in Shabbos Kuf Zayin, the way the Rambam brings down the halacha, and the way Rashi, in Shabbos Kuf Zayin, it says, even though the language of the Gemara is Ashayla Dagman Ayam, that we're talking about taking a fish out of the sea. We don't actually literally mean the sea. What we actually mean is like the bathtub, right? People used to keep the carp in the bathtub, right? They kept it in the pail of water to keep it alive. You take it out, right? So you're not hunting, right? It's there. It's already hunted. It's already been hunted. That's not the issue. The issue is killing it, right? It's a separate issue about hunting. This is not the issue here. So if you take it out of the bathtub, what's going to happen? It's going to be dead. If you take it out of the bathtub and the fish dries up enough, so the Gemara is saying, and if it dries up enough, like a sella, it's chayiv, meaning the size, the amount of patch of skin, like the size of a sella, would be enough to be mechayiv you on killing the animal. Same way, if you are killing other types of species, this is how you kill a fish. So I should just point out to you, this might be one of the rises of the Maritzchias that Rashi in Taanit is not Rashi, because if you look at Rashi over here on the top of the page, what does Rashi say? Shoyle dag min hayam b'Shabbos. Then he takes out a fish out of the sea on Shabbos. Kevin diyovish basela, and once it starts to dry out like the size of a sela, afishu mefarches, it's still flopping around. And while it's still flopping around, he put it in water. Chayim mishum tzilas neshama. There you chayim because of tzilas neshama. Shehi av malacha, which is one of the avos malachas. And he continues like Rashi says that's not mechusar. This is like Rashi in Shabbos. That's not mechusar tzeidas. He going shet sodu b'soy chasal because he was hunting it within the basket. V'henichu b'mayim l'chayos k'derech she'oisen hadayagin. Hadayagin is the fisherman. This is what they do: is they put it they put it in water in order to be able to keep it alive. So In the beginning, he says Hashem Dagman Ayam. So the end of Rashi, I guess, is more like Rashi and Shabbos. So it's not really a good raya. Because the end, he does say it's not. It's a situation where it's not Mechushet Seder. So I'll take it back. It's not necessarily a raya. It could be it's like Rashi in Shabbos. But what is clear is that even though the lashon of the Gemara is Hashem Dagman Ayam, you're taking out the fish out of the sea. Right? We literally mean the sea. What we mean is what? You're taking the fish out of the bathtub. So there's not an issue of Seder on Shabbos. That's already been done. The only issue is in Tzilas Neshama, and that once the fish dries out a certain amount, like the size of a cell on the skin, it's already going to be dead. So therefore, you are chayav and Tzilas Neshama on Shabbos. Even if you put it back in, it doesn't make a difference. So Rabbi Yoshi over the Bar Oven now says to Rav Ashi, Amar Lev Amar Ben Satan Pirav. So it says, say that we mean that the patch of skin that becomes dry is between the fins. So if you look at the Gemara on Shabbos, over there the Gemara on Shabbos says this Hasher Dag Mariam that Shmuel says. Then it says Rabbi Yosi bar Oven Uvein San Pirav, and then you have Rav Ashi who says his own opinion. So, but in this story over here, we have Rav Ashi now says to Rabbi Yosi bar Oven, this idea that the patch of skin has to be by the fins, that's the area where it's going to be considered. And Tzilas Neshama, isn't that something that Rabbi Yosi bar Oven sent? And shouldn't you be saying that in the name of Rabbi Yosi bar Oven? In other words, what do we say about when you say something over B'Shem Amra? Is maybe Gula Lo'ilam. And you're not doing that. You should have quoted Rabbi Yosi bar Oven for the Vart. So what does Rabbi Yosi bar Oven say back? I'm not you. He says, that's me. I am Rabbi Yosi bar Oven. Now I love the next line. So what are you doing in my yeshiva? Why are you davening here? Don't you daven somewhere else, right? Aren't you learning somewhere else? You see that everybody always has been in Tahak. Rashi wants to know why you're here. You should be at the other yeshiva, basically in your class. So what's the answer? Amar Lehen, you're right. I'm right. That doesn't answer the question. You still haven't explained to him why you're here. So Amar Leh, Umay Tamashav Kemar, so why'd you leave? Right? I want to know why you are here. What is the answer? Why did he hate right? Hey, did he He has no rachmanis on his own daughter and son. How could he have rachmanis on me? So now it could be right that Rabbi Yosi bar Oven didn't want to say lashon hara. Rabbi Yosi Dimin Yukras, he didn't announce anything, but he never said anything about it. Rav Ashi now wants to know, what's the story? Why are you here? He says, yeah, I used to be there. I left. So, but why did you leave? He tells him. He doesn't give him the details, but this is what he tells him. He does tell him in the end. Don't ask me a question about lashon hara, but it is interesting that on the part of Rav Ashi, he wants to know, and on the part of Rabbi Yosi Dimin Yukras, the Rabbi bar Oven, he didn't offer the information. He had to be sort of dragged it out, perhaps because he was not interested in publicizing what is going to be unbelievable stories now about Rabbi Yosi Dimin Yukras. There's Dr. Gemara. What are the stories? Right. So this is the Stam of the Talmudah, but we don't have evidence that this is a story that Rabbi Yosi bar Oven told Rav Ashi. Like they didn't sit down like, okay, let's grab a beer and let's now chill and talk about all the failings of Rabbi Yosi Dimin Yukras. This is the Stam of the Talmudah adding this in that we should know what is the stories of Rabbi Yosi Dimin Yukras. Why was it that Rabbi Yosi bar Oven left his yeshiva? Again, obviously there's a tayalos for us to understand these stories. That's why they're being shared with us. But it doesn't mashma that Rabbi Yosi bar Oven told these stories to Rav Ashi himself. Nevertheless, clearly the stories were known, and that's how the Gemara knows about them. Yeah, remember, if Rav Ashi is the one who's Masada the Talmud, he put in these stories, and he's the Stam of the Talmudah, then maybe he heard the story. But again, it's not from the Gemara, it's Masha. This is Stam of the Talmudah. Bray, Maihi, what is the story of the son? Right? It's not like one talking to the other one. What is the story of the son? Rabbi Yosi Dimin Yukras did not have Rachmana son. Yom Echad have a Igri Le Agiri. B'davra, right? He basically hired workers to go work for him in the fields. Nagaluhu, Rabbi Yosi Dimin Yukras was very busy. But he didn't come and provide the bread. In other words, when you hire day laborers, right, you're hiring them to do stuff for you. You got to feed them. The workers didn't come. I'm sorry, the workers were there, but the Rabbi Yosi Dimin Yukras didn't come to feed them. So Amr Le Lebre, Kaifinon. So the son was there. Rabbi Yosi Dimin Yukras' son was there, and they say to the son, "We're very hungry. So they were all sitting underneath a fig tree for lunch. This is the lunch break, lunch hour. They're waiting for the food. The Rabbi Yossi is nowhere to be found. Omar, again, this all goes back to also the stories about the rabbis and they're working and having business. Here you see another example. Rabbi Yossi has a field, he has workers, he has to take care of them. Yeah, despite the fact that he have the yeshiva and a shir and all the other things. So Omar, Ta'ena, Tzii Perisecha. So the son of Rabbi Yossi ben Yukar says to the fig tree, give out your fruit. And let my father's workers have food. The fig tree miraculously provides figs. At some point, while they're sitting there and having a nice, delicious fig meal, so the father comes, Rabbi Yossi ben Yurkas himself comes, and he says to the workers, Amar lahu lo tinaktu b'daitaychu dehai denaga a mitzvah tarachma. He says, please don't be angry at me, right? Lo tinketu, don't be upset at me. Dehai denaga, for this that I was so late, a mitzvah tarachma. I was busy with a mitzvah, meaning I have a good reason why I didn't come on time to bring you lunch. Denaga mitzvah tarachma van. So he says that until now, as mamash, I couldn't make it, right? So Vadhashtu this agay, right? So I was just busy. I was caught up until now. Amrulay, the worker said, Rachmana lisbiach yehecha de'azban brach. Hashem should satisfy you and give you, right? Sava should give you satiation, the same way your son satisfied us. Meaning, they're not worried about food because they had such a great meal from the figs. Amar lahu mehecha. So he says to his son, how did you get figs? Like the off season, the figs don't produce now. So Amar Haki, I have a He says, then this is what I said. This is what was the story. This is what I did. Amrullah, he says to his son, Rabbi Yossi ben Yurka says to his son, Bini ate trachtas kainecha lo yitzitena peres lo yitzitena peres shloi bezmana ye'asav shloi bezmana. You were matriach, the fig tree, to give the fruit not in its proper time. Hashem will take you also not in your proper time. This is the father saying to the son. Yeah, it's a very difficult story. Very difficult story to understand. He used matriach, the Ta'ena, to provide for human beings who are saying they're starving. Imagine a hot day in Israel, working hard in the field, and they're thirsty. Maybe it's in Bavel, I'm not sure exactly. Rashi was obviously in Bavel, so presumably the story was all in Rava was in Bavel, so presumably this whole story was in Bavel. Right? That saying now that because you're matriach, the Ta'ena, therefore you should be dying before your time. It's difficult. It's difficult to imagine a father to son. It's difficult to understand this story. And how many other stories do we have where a matriach, the bria, to do something to help out human beings, right? Yeah, I don't have a good answer for this story. It's a very difficult story. Yeah, so now we have the second story. This one I have more to say on it because it relates to a much larger topic that is very, very current and has been current probably for a long time. So Barte Mai, what's the story with the daughter? Havile Barta Balas Yofi, he had a really beautiful daughter. He saw one of his students, or sorry, I shouldn't say students. He saw a man. It turns out that the person is one of his students, who was the Havikaria Behutza. He's like making a hole in the hedge. Right? Rashi says Geder Ha'itzim. Right? I always thought that hedges. Rashi says a Geder Eitzim is what? The fence of wood, of sticks. I used to think that hedges were something from the English, that they learned how to make fields of hedges, but it's not true. It goes back early. But Kachazilan, he was looking through the hedge. He was peering at the girl. Amrlai, Mahi, he says, what are you doing? Amrlai, Rebbe. Again, could be he called him Rebbe. Could be that's a raya that he called him Rebbe. That's just how we refer to him. or because he was a student, or maybe that's how he was known in the public. Rabbeinu HaKadosh, one of my riots when we were doing on the Sunday topic, that Rebbe didn't write the Mishnah, so whenever it says Rebbe in the Mishnah, you think Rebbe would refer to himself as Rebbe. But Rebbe was referred to as Rebbe. Right? So I was proving that Mishnah are from after Rebbe, which is obvious, right? Rebbe's son, Rebbe, we want to quote his son, and in the Mishnah, his son is quoted. Rebbe wouldn't quote himself as being Rebbe. Some of these riots that I thought of were actually riots that we had from the Darkei Mishnah, actually. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, there's Gemara in Erev and Pevav. The Gemara over there says that uh, has literally a story where students of Rebbe are referring to Rebbe and calling him Rebbe. It's not all right if that's only Rebbe. Look at this Gemara right here. He's calling him Rebbe. That's how they referred. Either they referred to him because he was a teacher, or that's how he was known there by the townspeople. They called him Rebbe. So what did he say? Amarle, Rebbe. If I can't be zeichet to marry her, I shouldn't be zeichet to see her. Amarle, Biti. So Rabbi Yosi the Menuka says to his daughter, you're causing pain for the world. Shubi la'afarech, go and die. Va'ikashlu b'ich b'nei adam, and don't let anybody become nichshal by you. That's the end of the story. The story is mind-boggling on a whole slew of levels. The Marsha says, well, maybe he shouldn't have davened that she should die. Maybe he should have davened that she should be ugly. Like we just had a Gemara right here before on Chav Gimel. That's okay for, you could change it. Beautiful, ugly. So instead of davening that she should die, davening that she should be ugly. Then the Marsha says, but maybe that's not so appropriate that you should daven that she should die. After all, we know, what about Sarah Imenu? When Avraham is going to Mitzrayim, he says, what? Ati yadati ki ishi yifas mara ati. Very beautiful. So you see, he didn't daven Sarah should be ugly. He didn't daven that Sarah should die. So obviously it's okay for a woman to be beautiful. That's the Marsha's right. Like how many women throughout Tanakh, throughout Shas, are all said that they're beautiful. All the Imars are considered to be gorgeous. The Torah said about them. What was Rachel? Rachel was what? Yefas Tayar, Yefas Mara. Didn't say that Yaakov davened she should be ugly, that she should die. I mean, this is not within the realm of normative activity. More than that, what is the issue here? That people shouldn't be nichshal? What exactly does that mean? People shouldn't be nichshal. So whose fault it is that somebody's nichshal? Is it the man's by being Ivan with Surach or Nechem? Or is it on the woman's for being beautiful? It doesn't say here that she was like, look at the more human test, that the woman, we're going to talk about it now by the Tisha B'Av, the reason for the destruction. One of the reasons is that the woman, Yan B'nai Yisrael, were Kigavu Einan. Then the Gemara says, they used to work Ekip Tzad Goydel, and they used to make all the boys crazy. This is not what's happening here. Doesn't say a word here that she was dressed inappropriately. Doesn't say a word that she was trying to attract and entice the men. What does it say? She was walking behind the hedge in her own house. And that she should be dying for? The idea of it is beyond absurd, and it's entirely unacceptable. And therefore, you understand why Rabbi Yosi bar Oven left. There isn't a good answer to explain it. I can go through more of it, but I'll tell you one other Gemara. The Gemara in Saita Chav Aleph Mishnah there in Saita says that Ratz Isha B'Kava Tiflos Yosem Tisha Gebeim Precious. The nature of a woman, existential nature of a woman, that she prefers to have intimacy and have a real physical relationship than and have no money than to be very wealthy and have precious. And the Mishnah says that there are four things that there are mevalia olam that destroy the world. One is a chesed shaita. Another one is the isha prusha. Right. So what are we saying for that? Really, there's an option that he should be ugly. Right. That's an ideal. For what? So it should be hard to get married, hard to have a relationship with people. What's the point in this? We're not looking for more precious. We're looking for people to have real good relationships. Very difficult to understand. All right, the next story is a story about Rabbi Yosi the Menurgas's donkey. Even though these stories are whatever, nevertheless, he was an unbelievable person, and he had a donkey. When he used to pay for it for work for the day, Lord, to have a igra agaba, and you would put the money on the back of the donkey. And would go backward, to the master. Go back to Rabbi Yossi ben Yurkas. If you gave too much money or too little money, it wouldn't move until you gave the right amount of money. Somebody forgot some sandals on it, and it wouldn't move until they took the sandals off. Says the Marsha over here, why is this story not mentioned? Right, we know about Pinchas ben Yair's donkey. We know about famous donkeys. This is an unbelievable donkey. It doesn't move if it has money on it too much, too little money on it, sandals. Like, it's an amazing story. Why don't we talk about this donkey? It's such amazing. Says the Marsha, because this donkey wasn't like a Pinchas ben Yair's donkey. Pinchas ben Yair's donkey, he's worried about Shumas and Maisves. He's not us, he's a donkey. He can eat anything. He's machmir on himself. He's machmir on himself not to eat, things that weren't tied. But this donkey, he's only machmir on what his master can take, right? His master can't have too much money or too little money. That's what he's machmir on. He's not machmir on anything for himself. He's willing to eat food that's not tied. So he's not a machmir on himself donkey. That's why he's not a famous donkey. Mechilas Square of the Marsha, I think the answer is pretty obvious. The reason that this is not a famous donkey in Shas, we only know about it over here. We don't talk about I think more Shabbos tells us that we are like mamish. If the ancients were like malachim, right, then we're like humans, right? But if the ancients are like humans, then we're like donkeys, and not like the donkey of Pinchas ben Yair, but like regular donkeys. Why don't we like the donkey of Yossi ben Yair? Because look at the other stories that we just mentioned. Because those stories are so not acceptable, we're not going to be going and making this donkey of Yossi ben Yair famous. Yeah. There's unbelievable mice about this person. When the garbage tzedakah would see this man, the garbage tzedakah would run away from him. Why? Why? They call my to have a gabe yovle. Whatever he had, he would give them, and they knew he was mamish giving himself. Like, we're not supposed to give too much, right? You give a fifth. He gave everything he had, so they knew he was bankrupting himself to give tzedakah. They mamish would not. They would run away from him. So what the Maisa? So says the Gemara, Mechad, it was a day have a sal l'shuk. One day he was going into the shuk and he had a few dollars that he was going to get in the dunya, the dowry for his daughter to get her married off. Tazu garbage stalker, the garbage stalker saw him. Tashemine, they ran away from him. Ozlav Rod Basra, he ran after them. Amarlu, Ishtavichu b'maya sikdu. I swear to you, tell me what you're doing. What are you collecting for? We have an orphan boy and girl that are getting married. We have to collect them for the wedding. That's the way of a shvua, right? He's making an oath saying, they are more important than my daughter. My daughter will figure it out. Shako called whatever he had in a dunya for his daughter, he gave it to them. Imagine he's going to come back to his wife. It's not going to be so good. Says the Gemara, Pasha Chatzuza. He had mamish one little zuz. Zobanle. He bought what did he get? What could you get for a zuz? Remember, more back on your test, right? A sela, you get a certain amount, but zuz is a quarter of a sela. So whatever he's able to get of some wheat, he bought. Va'asek shadye be'achalba. He brought it and put it in the granary, whatever it was. Ase de bisu. So the daughter came along. His wife came along. She said to the daughter, "My asi avuch. What did they get? They know what they're dealing with. What did Elazar Ishbir to get?" Whatever he bought, he put it into the granary. But they went to go open the granary to see what he had gotten with his what money that he had brought. The entire granary was packed and packed. Ungepackt, there was mamish no. You couldn't even open the door. You couldn't even open the door from all the amount of wheat that was packed on it. They knew who they were dealing with. The daughter came to the base medrash. She says to her father, "Come see, see what your lover does for you." Meaning, what the Rebbeinu Shalom and the miracles he did, because they knew, he had probably given her all the money. Again, it makes an oath. This none of this belongs to you. It's all hektish, right? And we're gonna have to see in the next Gemara. We're gonna have with Rabbi Chanim and Daisa. He says it's all hektish. You're only able to get like any other ani. The rest is hektish. Right? Why? Because such a thing cannot belong to us. We have to stop over here. But this is a Maisa, unbelievable tzidkus of this Elazar Ishbirta that he would mamish give away everything he had